Boom, I'm in the room. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Everyday Conversations regarding mental health. We're coming live to you from the old Heale Manor. Because there's nothing on the telly, you might as well sit and watch this. I've got a great guest in this evening. So, what we're going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about mental health. But just as a plug, don't forget the live stream quiz on a Tuesday. Go live every Tuesday at 8 o'clock British Summer Time. It's over on a dedicated quiz channel and it's 30 questions just to see how well you get on, just to test your general knowledge. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to try and take the stigma out of mental health, and we're just looking at trying to get everybody talking about mental health and being comfortable about it. Whether it's something to do with bereavement, suicide, addictions, post-traumatic stress disorder, we cover the whole gambit. So, without too much further ado, I'm gonna bring in my guest, and we're gonna start a conversation off, and we'll see where it takes us. So, welcome, Alan.
Okay. Very good to be here.
Thanks very much. Now, Alan, you're the other side of the world. Although you grew up as an Essex boy, you're now down under, or just
Yeah,
slightly off
I
down
have.
under, isn't it?
Yeah, we're in New Zealand, and so not quite down under, but I have this very bad dad joke that we're 12 hours ahead of you. So if you want to know what your lotto numbers will be, just give me a shout.
That'd be great. Could do with a little boost to the coffers at the moment. Just had
Yeah,
a big bill in for the motorbike, so it was an ouch. Big
yeah, we
service.
get those. Yeah, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, Alan.
Oh, yeah. Where'd you start? Yeah, I'm I'm actually very very kind of privileged, I guess, to have been on a journey where I've been through some pretty deep struggles with over the years, and um, a lot of that started from a bit of a traumatic childhood, and that then leads to you having, I guess, struggles at school and that kind of thing, and yeah, it's been a pretty rocky road, and today I'm very fortunate to now being working on a startup that is really helping people with their mental well-being, like at scale, because I think it's a worldwide problem that's just getting worse and worse every year. So it's really great to be working in a field where I'm now helping many people like overcome the challenges that I did.
So what's the area that you're actually working in then?
So we've basically made an app called Everyellow. Now, kind of to explain what it is and to put it into context, I through there was a period in my life where um, I not long had a like kind of a near death kind of experience. Nearly got killed in the Canterbury earthquakes here in Christchurch. That led to me basically losing my business, and not long after that, I had a major mental breakdown, and and I was basically under the care of these. To put it quite bluntly, I guess carers that are kind of also on suicide watch and that kind of stuff. And they give you this pack of information, right? and in that pack of information is like there was a list of these apps that you could, says you can download and try these apps. And I remember over the course of a few weeks, I tried a number of these apps. Some of them were meditation apps, some of them were, I don't know, they wanted you to do things like journaling or whatever. And I actually really struggled with all of them. I basically felt that at the time, I thought it was just because of me, and I thought, my brain is so messed up, I can't even use an app to help me, kind of thing. But I later discovered that actually there's very little evidence that any of these apps actually work in any meaningful way. It wasn't just me, and by the way, there's been very extensive research studies on this. And what I also discovered, which was like, it was shocking but not surprising, was that over 96%, I think it is, of people that routinely try these apps for their mental well-being, over 96% of people delete those apps within a week or two. And that was a real kind of shocker for me, to think that there's, there literally is hundreds of millions of people, right? If not a billion plus people that are to some degree struggling with their mental well-being, whether that be, depression, mild anxiety, or just being routinely stressed or burnt out at work, whatever kind of your kind of situation is. To think that there's over a billion people that could do with a tool in their pocket because they can't get access to human help, or they can't afford human help. That seemed to be like a quite a serious problem that I wanted to try and solve. So we spent quite a lot of time researching kind of why these other apps don't work, and what was needed in a new app, and we've created this app that is doing really well in helping people. So that's basically what I'm doing now. That's my day job.
Wow. So have you got a background in sort of the software side of stuff? I guess there's a software program, the app that you can get download onto your phone, something like that.
Yeah, kind of yes and no. I'm not. It's kind of ironic in a way, because um, when I was younger, part of my I guess mental health story is that I'm I'm naturally a kind of a creative person. When I was at school, I I really just wanted to do things like work, art, and that kind of stuff, history. And I remember when I took my um, you basically had to choose the subjects that you're going to do in the next couple of years. I remember choosing all these subjects that really resonated with me, and I kind of got the proverbial slap round the head by my parents saying, "Don't be stupid. They're all a waste of time." And I was kind of pushed into things that were seen as being more you know relevant to maybe a better career or something. And not surprisingly, I failed all my exams, and then I was pushed into a like an apprenticeship in engineering, which was completely the wrong side of the brain for me. So again, I'm struggling with all of that. But what I guess I'm coming to answer your question about, am I into software? I don't naturally do that kind of thing. I have done it in the distant past, but because I guess of my creative side, and understanding design, and I've spent a lot of years in consulting and what they call design thinking, trying to solve complex problems. That coupled with like half of my brain being forcefully wired to understand technology, that's it. Ironically, it's kind of set me in a good stead to actually work out how to make products that really work. I don't do any of the soft. I do all the design side of things. So if you look at our website and you look at the actual like the screens in the app that's on your phone, yeah, all of the design work and all of the interaction design, that's all me. But the actual coding, yeah, I have to rely on far more talented people than me.
So you're effectively the graphic designer for the thing then.
Um, yeah, I like to think of myself as the architect, I guess. Like I think the analogy of a building or a house is a really good one with things like this, because if you think about it, you've when if you was to say design a house, right? The most important thing before you're even thinking about what color the walls are going to be, or what you know bath tap fittings and all of that kind of stuff, the most important thing to get right is the actual, what will the rooms be like, how will they connect together, do you know what I mean? You get all of that, that's effectively the architect's job, right?
Mm.
This is how the flow of the house this is how people will live in this house, right? And the builder is the person that takes those plans and brings it to life. They go and get the
Yeah.
materials. The architect, I know I'm not being completely accurate, but the architect to a degree doesn't need to concern themselves too much with how the thing is actually put together, right?
Mm.
Um, and then when the house is finally built, you get in you either do it yourself, or you might bring in I forget
A,
what, I'm not sure what you call them.
a graphic
People that,
designer, painter,
yeah,
somebody to finish it off.
exactly right. So I guess I'm where I thrive is in that architecture space. But I do go over to that like that graphic design space as well. Yeah, because
Mm.
I'm more creative.
So this app then, what area does it sort of cover? What is it? What are you trying to help? What area of mental health are you trying? Mental well-being are you trying to help along the way with this?
Um, I like to use the term mental fitness, and the reason I do that um, is in I think that the very term mental health has got kind of two main problems with it. The first problem is that there's an enormous amount of stigma, right? People don't, especially in the UK, New Zealand, Australia, where we have a very strong kind of uh, recent history with the UK. That there's very, especially with men, there's
Yeah,
this
the old
real thing.
stiff upper lip
Exactly.
mentality,
Yeah.
and just trying to.
Yeah.
There's a place and a time for having a stiff upper lip, but again, there is a place for understanding the
Mm,
problems that you can run into with your well-being, whether it's physical or mental,
yeah.
and it's that getting the balance right. I
Yeah.
think, and I think
That's
that's
right.
where we're trying to go with this is taking that stigma out of that piece on the mental side of it, to make it comfortable to talk about. And I think that's what we're
Yeah.
trying to do is to make it comfortable to talk about, to make it
Yeah.
okay not to be okay. I
Yeah.
know there's a big push for that in the UK at the present moment, and it's kind of gone off the boil slightly. You don't hear too much about it. So
Mm.
Prince William and Catherine were both pushing that at one stage. But it's kind of gone quiet. I think it's probably gone quiet because there's so much other stuff that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that you're quite right. The whole thing around mental health, I guess, is that um, that there is the stigma that there's a whole lot of noise around it. Where like you can't go on social media or anything really without hearing about some kind of story, and or some event that's around mental health awareness kind of thing. I think
Mm,
the other thing for me with mental health is um, mental health kind of conveys kind of quite a binary thing, like in the sense that you you either have mental health or you don't, right?
mm,
And so just so that we can all visualize that, if you was to let's talk about it in terms of physical health, right? If if you if you basically had the absence of illness, like right now, you may not be particularly fit. You might not even be able to run between two lampposts, right? And you might have a terrible diet. Your microbiome in your stomach might be really quite bad, right?
mm.
You might have all of that going on, but because you don't have any illness right now, you maybe, like, examples, you don't have flu, you don't have COVID, you don't have diabetes, you don't, whatever it is you don't have. If you don't have any illness, you are then deemed healthy,
Mm.
right? Um, and I think mental health, generally speaking, is seen as, whenever you talk about mental health, it means that you are mentally unhealthy. You are
Mm.
uh, there is something actually wrong, right? And you can actually kind of put numbers to this, right? If you was to,
Yeah.
let's say you was feeling low on energy, a bit down in the dumps, or what have you, and you actually went to see a doctor, right? The doctor would actually take you through like a questionnaire, and that they may not actually. They would actually just ask you a series of questions. They're not actually
Yeah.
completing a questionnaire. You know what I mean? But what they are doing through their series of questions, they are forming up to get a number for you, right?
Yeah.
And just roughly speaking, if you're around a 3 or below, you would be you would be seen by that doctor as having mental ill health, right? You
Mm.
and they would probably diagnose you some antidepressants or whatever it is they do. If you're, say, a 4 out of 10, then you are then seen as mentally healthy, right? There isn't any clinical intervention that doctor would do. They would
Mm.
basically say something like, "Look, you need to take a break. You need to
Yeah.
whatever they say to do. You're just a bit burnt out, or whatever it is they'll say." And here's the thing, right? So here you are sitting at 4 out of 10, you're far away. Like you have to be, say, 8, 7, 8 out of 10 to be like what I would call thriving and flourishing, right? And I'll talk in a minute, if I can, about what that really means. But the vast majority of our population are somewhere around 5 to 6, right?
Mm.
So we we all most of us have, in quotes, good mental health, but we are still, using the, like, if we imagine ourselves to be like, say, a V8 engine, right? It's like we're working with only 4 cylinders running,
Yeah.
right? We're still able to move along, but
We're
we're
not at
we're
full
far.
capacity. Yeah.
Yeah, life, the engine is still lumpy and that kind of stuff. But
Life's a struggle at the best of times,
nice
and
stuff.
I think that's a
Yeah,
really good analogy
yeah,
where I mean you're not running at your full potential because there's something else that's not
right.
working properly.
That's
And I think
right.
that's
And
good.
so with the app, what we're trying to convey to people is this term of mental fitness, right? So wherever you are, um, if we can destigmatize mental health by saying, like, let's work on our mental fitness, right? So
Mm.
that we get, wherever we are, whether we're a 4 or a 5 or a 6, we can actually actively do things to actually move ourselves um, up the graph, kind of thing. And so the way the app works, or the basis for the app, is a thing called positive psychology. And positive psychology, first and foremost, is not about being positive, right? Positive psychology is a modern framework for psychology, if you like, where before positive psychology, the focus was much around looking at what is wrong in your life. Like, looking at
Mm.
past trauma or whatever those things are. But what positive psychology has worked out is there are a number of kind of pillars to our well-being that they all combine to support our overall mental well-being, or our overall mental fitness, right? So, like, I'll just cover off, like, our app uses 10 different pillars, but I'll just kind of cover off 2 of them now. One of them is, say, relationships, and another one is around being present, right? And let's just talk about those. Biologically, as humans, we evolved over millions and millions of years to be in social groups where, um, when we were resting, we knew that there were people around us that were looking out for us, so that we, wouldn't get mauled by saber-toothed tigers or whatever, that kind of thing, or wouldn't get killed by the local tribe or whatever, that kind of thing. Um, but also, we are biologically wired to, um, interact and provide value to other people, right? And similarly, like, so
Mm.
while the rest of the tribe were
Yeah.
sleeping, we would be the one that's awake and making sure that they're safe, right? So we evolved over hundreds of millions of years, and we can't change that biology. But in very recent years, we've moved to a very isolated society where we that's not normal anymore, right?
Mm.
So just thinking about that one pillar, if we kind of look at our life and say, well, how often do I engage in meaningful relationships? Have I got a really good supportive group of friends, or do they just put me down whenever I spend time with them? By being able to just look at that one thing and also learn skills so that you can, be more empathetic, be a better listener, when you're talking to other people, all of those things, you basically bolster up that pillar in your brain, and that in itself will improve your mental well-being and your mental fitness, right?
Yeah. So
And
effectively, because we're social animals, we
yes,
need other people to keep us social, to keep our mental well-being. And if we've been isolated, if we're stuck out somewhere alone for too long, that then starts having a detrimental effect on our mental well-being, obviously. And I
exactly
think
right.
the last 3 years has proved that, and I think we're starting to see lots and lots of problems with
Yeah,
people's mental well-being because they haven't been socialised in the way we used to.
yeah, and I think that's one of the keys to, I guess, what I'm trying to do with our app is giving people the education and the knowledge and the skills so that they understand this is what I need to do in order to, not only improve my life but also improve the life of others.
Mm.
Um, and there, as I say, there's if you look at the literature around positive psychology, they're actually kind of does it's kind of like a tree, right? There's actually dozens of things that all
Mm.
combine to create that. If you think of the tree trunk as being
Yeah.
your mental strength, there's actually a whole number of different things that all combine
Well, you've got
to
all the
give it
roots that are going out that stabilise the whole thing, haven't you? And you
exactly
start
right.
sort of taking away some of the roots, then the whole thing becomes then unstable.
Yeah, that's a fantastic analogy. And
Mm.
so another pillar is your ability to remain in the present moment. And what that means is, like, a lot of us, even when we're working on something, either consciously or unconsciously, we are worrying about what's going to happen in the future, right?
Mm.
This a lot of youngsters must be going through this right now. Like, what will happen to my planet in 10 years time, with the event of all of this AI that people are seeing, artificial intelligence. Will there even be a job for me in the future? That there's all these kind of worries, right? And 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 people also tend to kind of ruminate on, they spend a lot of mental energy ruminating on things that happened in the past, right?
Mm.
And the reality is that when you are spending time worrying about the future or ruminating on the past, you are not able to enjoy the present moment for what it actually is, right? And this is a big reason why a lot of people um, don't get joy from the work that they are doing, because to them
Mm.
that is like going through the motions while they're doing this other stuff, right? Worrying about the future or ruminating on the past, right? Whereas if people can bring more focus and actually enjoy the present moment, that is another pillar that really has a massive effect. And we've seen that post COVID, I think they called it the Great Resignation, where they're saying there's people are just going to be saying, look, I need to move to another job, kind of thing, and that kind of really worries me, because it's kind of like the grass isn't greener on the other side. Whatever it is that's making you unhappy in your current job. And look, I know I'm grossly oversimplifying things here. Of course, if you're in a toxic work environment, right, then of course leave, right, of course. But I think my point is that sometimes we don't have joy in the things we're doing because of the way we're addressing that thing. And there's a really wonderful story that really illustrates this. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. With it, there's I think it's called something like the Pike Street Fish Market or something like that. It's in America. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't, no.
No. There's
I know
this fish.
Billingsgate Fish Market.
Yeah, and maybe like when I tell you this story, maybe you can draw me some analogies from where you've been. There's a book called Fish Philosophy, right? That is really about this, like how you bring yourself to work, kind of thing. And it's based on a very true story that is still alive and kicking today. And if you imagine an open, like I don't know if it's like Seattle or somewhere like that. Um, there's all of these fish stalls that are, the people that are serving there aren't particularly happy. They're not even very busy, because they don't treat the customers the way they really could be. But there's one particular fish stall where the whole group of people that work there have enormous fun in the job that they do. Now, you wouldn't think there'd be anything particularly fun or sexy about serving fish, but believe me, just go and look on YouTube, and you just go and look at how much fun and joy they have by serving fish. They throw them around. Like a customer will ask for a fish, and someone will shout to the other side, "Hey, Joey, can you get me like a happy salmon," or whatever it is they'll say, and they'll pick one up and they'll have a conversation with it. They'll throw it across it's a fantastic thing to see. And I may be going a little bit off topic here, but I guess the thing is that again is just one illustration of another pillar that we can be aware of and we can work on. And yeah, so that's really what the app does, is to help you understand where you are yourself in each of these kind of 10 pillars, and to give you the to kind of reshape your brain so that you act, what your brain is effectively more efficiently in each of those areas, I guess.
Got it. So, I mean, that's a really important thing, to be happy in your work. And so many people are doing a dead end job that they don't enjoy, and they it's just like that never ending grindstone. It just keeps going on and on and on. When all they need to do is change the job and go and enjoy doing what they want to do, rather than have to do stuck in a dead end job, in a particularly somewhere where you've got a toxic management that doesn't treat the staff well, and it's really important to go and find somewhere that you do fit in, that you do have a good time at work. And I
Yeah.
mean, I used to I used to love getting up and having to go to work.
Mm.
I enjoyed my job. It was every day was different.
Mm.
Particularly as a welfare officer, never knew what was going to come from one day to the next.
Yeah.
And every day was another challenge, and I loved it. The
Yeah.
worst part about the job was the commute in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
The hour commute
I,
each way on the Rattler, oh, it was terrible. But
yeah.
the job itself was fun. We made it fun, and it was a good environment to work in.
Yeah.
And we made it fun. We actually went out of our way to organise things and make a lot of fun for the guys. I mean, the guys that were doing the ceremonial duties in London, I mean, everything evolved around the ceremonial duties. That was the be end all.
Mm.
That's But on the sidelines, we were able to get guys away doing some adventurous training. We managed to get guys doing some sports. We managed to get guys doing some fun stuff,
Yeah.
which had a big effect on the whole company's mental health or mental
Yeah.
well-being.
Yeah.
They enjoyed doing the job,
Yeah.
and another company didn't because they had a toxic manager in at the top, and that
Yeah.
does filter down, and you can see it.
Yeah.
And you change the regime a bit, you change the leadership, come in
Yeah.
with a different style, and the whole place can transform.
Yeah.
And I've seen it firsthand on a few occasions. So
Yeah.
that's important. That if you're not enjoying what you're doing and you've got the opportunity to change to do something different, then go and do it.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
It is too short, and I think that the really important thing on this subject though is I think I think we can we're all born out of a different mold, right? And what what is a um, to use your quote, a dead end job to one person can be incredibly fulfilling to another,
Yeah.
right? Um, I, for example, I read the story of basically one of these guys that um, works in a hotel that basically has to spend the day in, say, the men's toilets, and when people have done their business, they would have to go in and make sure that it's all clean. Now, for many people, that's a dead end job, right?
Mm.
But because of what he brought to the job and what he made that job, he had he was actually completely content. Like he would smile and welcome people in. He would have conversations with them, and you say, what are you doing today, sir? And it's your choice, right?
Made the job his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that for just around the supermarket, just down the road here, there for a period of time we had this. So at the at the sliding doors where you go into the supermarket, there's always a security guard, right? Probably checking that no one's taking stuff that they shouldn't be taking out. And for a few years, we had this one guy, and he was just amazing. It would, like, as you walked in, it'd be, "Hello, sir. Good to see you today." And when you walked out, it was, "Thank you very much for coming." And he would have been such an asset to that store,
Yeah.
right? But then when he left, there another guy comes in, and it's just like a slab of dead meat standing there, right? You don't even, and so yeah, I guess the point is look, you you do actually have a responsibility to how you make your work, right?
Yeah.
Don't you know by all means, if you're in, say, if you're in a job where let's just say that you're either one of those people that is cleaning toilets, or you are a security guard, and you aspire to be something different. And again, that just to kind of digress slightly, that is another one of the pillars, is growth and achievement, right?
Mm.
It doesn't matter how old we are, we need to be growing. And if you're not growing, just use the analogy of like a sapling, right? If you're not always feeding the sapling, and the sapling's not growing, what will happen? That will die, right? It will just become
Yeah,
this shriveled thing, right? And that's a part of your brain. If you don't nurture growth and achievement, that's another pillar that will die, and that's another
mm.
thing that will. It's another, to use your analogy of the roots under the tree. That's another root system that's being diminished,
Yeah,
right? Um, and you're getting a lot of growth and achievement through this, what you're doing right now. You've learned a great deal of new skills. You're giving value. It's amazing, right?
yeah,
So wherever you are, if you do aspire to be in a different role, in a bit different job, then yeah, when you're not at work, do some study in, you might want to study project management, or something that can't be done by artificial intelligence, hopefully. um, if you we're going to have an enormous need in the future for things like
practical
counselors.
skills.
Yeah,
I
lots
think,
of stuff.
I
There's
think practical skills. Artificial intelligence can do so much, but somebody has to press a button somewhere to get it to work. And I
That's right.
think
Yeah.
just going back to job satisfaction, I think if you approach your work, whatever it is, to be the best that you can at it, I think just by going in and wanting to be the best that you can do at that particular job, whether it's clearly cleaning toilets, or whether
Yeah.
it's been a security guard, or whether it's been a checkout person on a till.
Absolutely.
If you go in with the attitude that you're going to enjoy what you're doing, you're going to engage with people, and you're going to
Yeah.
make the job yours, I think
Exactly right.
that
Yeah.
will grow that root system extremely well.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, right? Take the analogy of, like, working on a supermarket checkout, right? You basically have the choice, don't you? You can basically go into there and say, I'm going to basically be miserable as hell, and I'm not going to enjoy today, and I'll just get paid. I'll go through the motions. You know, if you then compare that with what you've just said, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to positively touch every single customer that comes in here. I'm going to make every one of my customers feel good.
Yep,
That that would bring so much joy and value, not only to yourself, but to a whole bunch of other people as well, right?
absolutely. I think that if everybody was to take on that attitude, life would be so much better everywhere. I mean, you go in a supermarket and you can tell immediately whether you're going to have a pleasant experience doing your shopping, or whether you're going to come out depressed, having spent money and got
Yeah,
and got depressed through it. Whereas
exactly.
you come out happy that someone's been nice to you, they've smiled at you, and 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 they made a really nice comment, and it's been a really pleasant experience. So
Yeah,
you you,
absolutely.
you can get that everywhere, and as long as people, and as long as we can get that message out, that positive mental attitude, when you turn up to be the best that you can possibly be at what you're doing, then you will get that fulfillment. And I think
That's right.
that goes a long way to sorting out all the other stuff that's going on. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's got worries and stuff at the moment with the cost of living crisis and being locked down for the last 3 years and struggling on those side of things. But if we can just turn that around and be the best that we can be, then I
Mm.
think that will start turning things around.
Yeah. Yeah. I, th- I think there's a film, isn't there, like from years ago, called The Butterfly Effect. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, and that basically is, I can't remember the actual story, but it's basically about the knock-on effect of
Yeah.
like positivity or whatever, and yeah, as you say, if we always just to make that small shift,
Mm.
it'll be huge.
So, Alan, tell us, how can we find your app, and is it open to everybody?
Yeah, so the way you find the app, so the app is called Ever Yellow, all one word though, EVER Yellow. Um, just go to the App Store, type in Ever Yellow, and it's there, and it's free to use. Um, we are what's called a social enterprise or impact venture, and what that means is that we have a social mission. We want to help as many millions of people as we can. We don't exist to make as many millions as we can for in dollars for our shareholders, right?
Mm.
So where many other apps you have to pay, we've made Eviello free to use for everyone. You can, the free version is comprehensive, um, but we do need money to survive, obviously, and to keep developing the app and creating content for it. So we do have a premium version of the app that has more content and more features, and we do like to say to people, like, if you are one of those people that can afford to pay, it'd be great. It'll be greatly appreciated if you can. We've made it very affordable, but if you really can't afford to pay, then it's there for free. So,
Mm.
and if you want to find out a little bit more about the app before you download it, just go to everyellow.com, and you can find out more.
Terrific. Well, I think we've certainly given people something to think about, and hopefully we'll get people signed up for the app, and let's improve everybody's mental health or mental well-being one person at a time.
Exactly right.
I think that's all we can do, really, isn't it?
That's all we can do. We can all do our bit, not only for ourselves, but for everyone else as well. Like, it's whatever we're doing today are laying the foundations for the future, really, aren't they? So
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's our choice, right? We can
Yeah.
either live in we can either live in the past and worrying about the future, or we can actually make more of the here and now.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Alan.
It's been a
Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've taken something from it. I'll put in the description the links where you can get hold of the app. Um, if you want to put some comments in and get some feedback, that would be terrific. So until next week, then, when we'll have another guest on and we'll take the conversation further. Thank you so much.